All right. Welcome back to episode 25 of the 20 Pages Book Club. On today's episode, we finish 1453, finishing up chapters 13 to the end. Uh, we also talk through a quick weekend recap. We give our score for the book, see where it ranks. I'm interested to see where this one falls. Then, instead of a competition for this segment, we will be listing the nominations for the Pagies, our award show, which will be our next meeting. Super excited about that. And then between Christian and Kevin, we will wheel for the next book. Looking forward to another great episode. Let's go. All right. Welcome back. Episode 25. Look at us. We made it to episode 25. Yeah. So, like I said, we've got a lot to talk about this meeting. So why don't we get started off with a quick weekend recap? Christian, start us off.
Oh God, I didn't want to start because I don't really have anything. Friday didn't do much. Yesterday we watched the fights. It's a good card. I wouldn't put it as one of the best cards of the year, but it was solid. Um, that's all I have.
Nice.
Uh, Kevin, go ahead.
Um, some buddies were in town. My brain is just in a fog right now. I went out for a little. I stayed well past my time at the bar last night, and then all of a sudden I didn't want to go out at all, and then all of a sudden it's closing time, and I'm like, what is happening? Um, had some buddies in town. We had a Christmas get together on Friday, and then what did I even do yesterday? I've been training. I started my actual training for my half marathon. Goal time is hour 30. So working towards that, put down like 30 something miles this week, I think, and then another tons of miles on the bike. I don't even know how many. So that's actually pretty fun getting to run with a lot of different people in the Dubuque area. Yeah, that's about it. Tyler,
What is pace for hour 30? Is it 7 minutes?
it's like 6:52 maybe. I really want to go below 1:30, but I'm just setting my goal at 1:30 because currently my fastest ever is with you at like 1:45.
Yeah,
So
a sub. That'd be a sub 3 hour marathon too.
yeah,
That'd be a cool thing to do.
except like the running the first half of the marathon at that speed, and then running the second half of that speed is probably not feasible. But
Yeah, I don't know. Um, it's Boston qualifying time. There's some people
yeah,
that are not human that do that.
one of my I went skiing last weekend. Yeah, with one of the guys that used to race at Loris, and he qualified for Boston, and he's racing in it this year with his girlfriend. I was asking him about like his training regimen, and it's just insane. Like how many
Yeah.
bikes, like he literally bikes like 20 to 30 miles a day. I'm like, dude, what?
I feel like
But
you have to be committed to solely cardio for like 2 or 3 years to qualify for that race. And that's a lot.
maybe one day. I want
Maybe.
I'd like to do it. I haven't actually made it a goal, but maybe. Oh, there's shared. All right, Tyler, you got the floor.
All right. Really exciting weekend. Not really, but I had dinner at Niche in Geneva yesterday for my dad's birthday. It was really good. I don't know if you guys have ever ate there.
Happy
Uh,
birthday, Dave.
Happy birthday, Dave. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Dave.
I know he's not listening.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. It's an upscale restaurant, so it's expensive, and I wasn't paying
Flex.
for it, thankfully. Um,
I was gonna say, is it on the promotion tab?
no, it's not on the promotion tab, unfortunately. Promotion doesn't start till January 1st. But
Mm.
um, yeah, no, it was nice. It was a really nice restaurant. They have like 200 whiskeys to choose from. It was like overwhelming. So it's like a good place. We should go in there sometime and just have a glass. It's a cool place.
Maybe we'll rent it out for the pages. Maybe it's in the budget.
Probably.
We gotta check our budget. We have a revenue shortfall though. Then I drove home. I watched the UFC fights with Christian and his girlfriend. Um, you know, they were decent. It wasn't a great card, wasn't a bad card. So, always entertaining.
I thought you were talking about Christian and his girlfriend when you said they were decent. It's like, what?
They're okay people. No, and then Nebraska plays for the national championship today. So, I gotta mentally prepare myself for that. I'm very excited.
Did they not?
Tuesday.
No, the national championship is today at 2 p.m. We're very excited.
Who's in it?
It's
like
Nebraska
Nebraska.
versus Texas.
Dude, didn't they play last?
Lost.
Yeah,
I know that was a rerun.
Texas
I'm
beat
dumb.
Wisconsin.
Legacy game.
Legacy game. So it's over all the marbles here. Our entire team is returning next year, so pray for the league. We have like 4
Oh.
freshmen starting.
So I was so drunk last night that they were playing a rerun of a Nebraska Texas. Was there a championship like back in the day between the two of them?
Yeah.
I thought that was like the championship this year because I knew they were in the national championship and they were playing a rerun, so I just assumed that was the actual game.
Yeah.
And they swept them 3-0. I was like, damn, I was gonna text you, and then I was like, fuck that guy. I don't want to hear about Nebraska.
I would have thought you're jinxing me.
So yeah, that's the state I was in last night.
Hopefully,
Should have known. They had like the old graphic on the bottom from like the really old NCAA like football games.
yeah. Hopefully by the end of today, Nebraska has its future quarterback as well. So hopefully it's a good day for the Huskers. We're hoping so. If not, then you'll see me on the bottom of the Fox River. All right, Jared, how was your
Actually, I'd like to just say congrats already to Nebraska for being the national championship. You're from the
Volleyball
national
school.
championship. Yep. Congrats, Nebraska.
That's a jinx attempt.
And congrats on them winning it next year as well.
They're probably the best team I've ever seen play. So I'm super excited to be celebrating with Tyler come next week.
They're the only team I've ever seen play. So also the best team I've ever seen play.
Wait till I'm yelling out there, Christian.
I'll be gone.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Tyler's gonna be on his knees screaming at the TV.
Wills. All
He
right,
always means.
Jared.
Yeah, what did I do this weekend? Oh, I did my holiday shopping, which is the worst thing possible. Me and Ariana went shopping at Oakbrook, and I wanted to die. It was like pouring rain and just like miserable. And like you know how it goes. Like you have to go into every single store, and like I already got my stuff, and I was like, can we just please leave? But nevertheless, I suffered through it. But we watched some Christmas movies the other day, or yesterday. But yeah, it was pretty chill for me. Just kind of had a long week of work, so didn't want to do too much this weekend. But yeah, excited for this meeting. So why don't we get right into it? I think we left off at chapter 13. I don't remember the how we broke up chapters, but
I am on chapter 13, duty.
Excited.
all right, Kevin. Then I'll hand it off to you to leave us off. Before we get in, though, if you haven't listened to the first 2 meetings, go back, listen to them, because we will catch you up on what you may have missed, and we don't want to spoil the ending of the book. Even though, spoiler alert, Constantinople falls. So,
Nice.
Damn.
all right, Kevin,
All right.
take us away.
Tyler, do you have the document up?
I do.
Do you approve the line I have highlighted?
It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Chapter 13. Remember the date, May 27th through the 28th, 1453. A brown man with a turban and a carpet? A red apple? I didn't realize this book was a hybrid of Snow White and Aladdin. 2 great Disney movies. On May 27th, Mehmet ordered more firing on the wall. The land wall had fallen, the moat was filled, and the few defenders inside the city were scarce. Mehmet gave his men a speech equivalent to the 1450s version of Why Not Us? And because Constantine refused to surrender the city, and in accordance with Islamic law, Mehmet promised his soldiers 3 days of pillaging. Greg Crowley again mentions the psychological effects of the Ottoman army paying their atonement outside the walls by praying, lighting candles, and playing music. The cannon fire continued. Giustiani caught a literal ricochet shot that was lodged into his chest. I'm guessing this will play a part in what's to come since this little section just ends with him being tended to in his bed. On May 28th, the Ottomans unleashed a full-force artillery attack. Mehmet and his men wanted to fulfill the prophecy that was mentioned. I didn't write down what that prophecy was, but it was the prophecy about how they will basically take the city. Mehmet rode around one final time to hype up his boys before returning to his tent to rest. Giustiani was redeployed by his boys at the reboot van, popped a chug jug, and ushered himself to the front lines to lead the men once again in the repair and defense of the wall. Inside the walls, Constantine gave his ragtag group his own speech that mirrored Mehmet's. He tried to find a call to action for all the different groups of people residing in Constantinople. The last day was used to try and make repairs and to assign troops to the wall prior to the upcoming siege. Both sides continued to make their preparations by eating and saying more prayers. As the sun set and the darkness of the night's shadow casted over the land, that was pretty sick by me, the Ottoman army got in position for the attack, as the Byzantines just listened and waited. It is said that Constantine's right-hand man, Sphrantis, turned into prime Babe Ruth and called his shot. 2 years ago, he had a dream that on this date, May 28th, that something was going to happen. And similar to a wedding invitation, he said, remember the date.
Wow, you got me all hyped up over here. Got me fired
I
up.
will tell you, you sound so excited. You sound so excited.
This might need to be cut out what I'm about to say, but I feel like the last few chapters have just torture.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's just back and forth praying, getting ready for the final onslaught. The final onslaught happens, but oh wait, it's not the final onslaught. The attackers get suppressed by the defenders once again.
I feel
I
like
agree.
that's just wall warfare.
No, but
Yeah.
the writing of it, like how he's portraying it, it's like I thought this chapter was gonna be the siege, and then it just wasn't.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it just kept going. It kept flipping perspectives. It's like
Yeah.
literally, and then it just kept going, and the psychological effects were drastic.
Well, we're about to get the final climax.
Giustiani, I like your reboot van. He popped a chug jug. I mean, he had something like sticking inside of him, and then like 4 hours later, he's out there again, like rallying the troops to to the wall.
I
I thought he fled. I thought he fled.
So he fled later.
yeah, no,
Like, when I didn't we in the last summaries, didn't he say someone say that he? I thought I could have sworn in my chapter
oh,
that he
that's
ran away.
they're unrelated. They're unrelated. They're not even like brothers or anything. It was another Justiniani.
Oh, there's two of them.
You gotta
This
know
guy
him,
is
Jared.
like,
It's his clone.
As you can tell, I'm having trouble comprehending this book.
Jared, how do you not understand it?
We'll get to it later, but the part where they start talking about like the people escaping, and they start using all like the sea terms and like the boats and shit again. It was just like I had no idea what was happening again. So I was just
Stupid for this book.
I understand like the canon part where it's like hit wall, boom, people run inside wall. Like I get that part, and then all of a sudden it's like the ships and the galleys and the highs and the lows, the tide rising as the men fought in the fustes, and I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, this chapter was kind of meh.
yeah.
But I get it's needed.
Meh.
Meh. Got it.
I think I got lucky with the best chapter here.
You probably did.
Also, the calling his shot thing, he says the date was May 28th, and nothing happened on May 28th. So actually,
Yeah, that guy was full of shit too. That guy, like, that guy was full of shit for sure.
We'll get in the epilogue about France's how he feels about his life. He thinks he's full of shit as well.
question for Tyler: has he ever had a dream of one of us kissing him on the eyes?
Yes.
It's not a dream; it's a reality.
With that, Christian, you have the floor.
Okay. Okay, chapter 14, The Locked Gates, 1:30 a.m. specifically, May 29th, 1453. By now, there were 9 substantial holes in the outer wall of the Mesotachyon, which had all been replaced piecemeal by Justiniani's stockade. The the ramshackle structures that patched up the defenses. That was a completely butchering of his name. Is it Justiniani?
That sounded
We'll go
good.
with that. All right,
I think we
Justiniani.
nailed down our pronunciation last episode, but I already forgot what our pronunciation was for him.
Just call him G.
All right. Top G's stockade. The stockade is the ramshackle structure that patched up the defenses. It was here that the estimated 2,000 remaining Byzantine and Italian troops took up their positions on May 29th. They would make their final stand. Their final stand would take place here. The inner walls of this position, there were 4 entry points, 2 posterns by the gates of St. Romanus and Carisius, the 5th military gate, and another unidentified postern. The defenders at the outer wall were locked out of all of these points. They would do or die with their backs to the inner walls. For the Ottomans, preparations were made for an attack by land and sea. On land, a large number of men would attack the stockade, Mehmet deciding to deploy these men in ascending order of skill and usefulness. The attack ensued with the irregulars going first. For these men, Mehmet used a very motivating strategy. He placed a line of chavushes, military police, at their rear and janissaries behind the chavushes to club, whip, and even kill any irregulars who fell behind. They could die on one side or the other. For 2 hours, they wore away at the defenders until their numbers dwindled. There was a moment of pause. Everyone caught their breath. Then the moment came to escalate the conflict. Mehmet now sent his Anatolian troops on the attack. Said this guy is just playing Clash of Clans at this point. This was a group of brave men. There was no need for the extra motivation via hitting it from the back. They pushed on, were repelled, pushed on, were repelled, pushed on, were repelled, advanced, drew back, sprinted, caught their breath, etc., etc. A human pyramid materialized, and men scrambled to the top of the stockade, where hand-to-hand fighting ensued. Mehmet screamed from the peanut gallery. An hour before dawn, one of the big cannons smashed a hole through the stockade. 300 Anatolians swept inside, but the hole wasn't big enough to permit a large flood of men. The Anatolians were systematically hacked to pieces. None survived. Mehmet rages with blue balls. In other pockets of fighting, no progress was made. After 4 hours and at the expense of his irregulars and Anatolians, he grew frustrated. He had only his palace regiments left, some 5,000 crack professionals. Hand-to-hand, face-to-face fighting ensued for 2 hours. The Ottomans faltered. Then 2 strange moments of fortune struck the Ottomans. Half a mile up the line, an Italian soldier failed to close the circus gate after returning from a raid. 50 Ottoman soldiers breached the gate and hung the Ottoman standard on some towers. Back at the stockade, Top G was wounded. How is this guy still alive? This guy got absolutely ripped apart according to some unconfirmed accounts. I'll read the quote from the book about his wound. Top G, dressed in the armor of Achilles, falls to the ground in a dozen ways. He is hit on the right leg by an arrow. He is struck in the chest by a crossbow bolt. He is stabbed from below in the belly while struggling on the ramparts. A lead shot passes through the back of his arm and penetrates his breastplate. He is struck in the shoulder by a culverin. He is hit from behind by one of his own side by accident or on purpose. The most probable version suggests that his upper body armor was punctured by lead shot, a small hole concealing grave internal damage. Once again, fantasy. It was either one way or the other. We're not sure which account is true. It's probably the latter. This caused immediate consternation among the Genoese troops. Top G requested to be carried back to his ship for his wounds to be attended to, but Constantine was unsure. Eventually, the emperor relented, and to his dismay, a number of Genoese troops took the opportunity to flee. After more back and forth, the Ottomans breached the defenses, and thousands of men started to pour into the enclosure. The Janissaries clambered over dead bodies and forced open the fifth military gate. They then opened the St. Romanus and the Charician from the inside. From tower to tower, Ottoman flags fluttered in the wind.
Constantinople has fallen. Pain. Rest in peace.
It's dead.
In memoriam.
I think I know who Top G is. You know Scott Sterling?
Yeah.
That video, like when he just keeps getting like more injured, and like that's Top G, I think. And he's like saving the city, like, and then as soon as he leaves, it's over.
I think
That account is crazy.
I think when you're reading that account, you got to understand the first account that you read is likely what his fellow soldiers wrote about him to make it seem like he died like a hero. And the second one is probably what actually happened. I mean, it's just propaganda. That's all it is.
I mean, it's the first account to me is hilarious because he was still quote unquote wounded and not dead, and this dude is just like going back to his ship with 7 wounds in his body.
Like, how did no one finish the job? Everyone just gave him like
Yeah.
a little shank in the stomach, but didn't finish the job. And then
Propaganda is a powerful tool. Also, I think we have a nominee for dumbest character ever. The guy at the gate.
Yeah. I'll add him really quick.
I mean, the guy at the circus gate.
He's motor moron.
Failing to close it. I mean, I think the city would have fell no matter what, but forgetting to close a gate when someone's attacking your
Guy at the gate.
He wasn't ever named. This was like a huge point in the story. Like there was a prophecy about the circus gate and them taking over the city via the circus gate. It really wasn't that impactful of a moment. It was just like 50 guys got inside and then hung the flags. Maybe it sparked extra motivation for the guys.
or psychological warfare.
Yeah, it was psychological. But
I think if you see your banners on the walls, that's like panic mode for everyone because everyone can see it. It's just like
that's what the author had noted for the people inside the city. It was like, oh fuck, we're done.
I also nominated Top G for unsung MVP because low key kind of was until
he was
one of his guys.
He was kind of goaded.
Yeah, the book makes it sound like he was the key to the city's defense, and Constantine was just kind of like a guy, you know.
The guy told him to be the key to the defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's probably how it was. I mean he was definitely carrying the boats for the team, unlike Tony Ferguson last night. That's a reference Christian will get, and maybe 3 UFC fans will get, but we don't have any of those. This is a book club. Any other thoughts on that chapter?
Also, just don't have fans.
Sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Any other thoughts on the chapter? I mean, this is when it's finally taken. I guess this is the climax.
Yeah, I was very excited to start. Like when I read this, I was very excited for the next chapter to figure out what all these people. Number one, I don't know what pillaging, or I didn't know what pillaging entailed. So I was like, oh God, like what's about to happen? And then also, obviously people are going to try to escape. So I was excited to read about what people were going to try to do to escape, which I guess we find out. But
yeah, I mean, like to a part, you start to care about the characters at least a little bit, and you want to know what happens to them at the end. And I think we'll see what happens when I read the next 2 chapters. Christian, you got to say something, or?
I was gonna say, as far as the pillaging goes, it's kind of interesting how I come like desensitized to the atrocities that happen because this is in 1453.
Yeah, you kind of just
That's it.
I mean, it's nightmarish for people at the time, but like obviously looking back in history, we kind of knew these things happen frequently, so it's
yeah. I was just like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, raping and slavery. That's just mad a Christian.
It's like the girl that they have on display in in Pompeii.
Yeah.
Just her ashen body is just out there for the world to see. People
Great.
are like, "Oh, that's a cool attraction."
All right.
Yeah, that'd suck.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I was not a fan of it. There's people taking pictures. I didn't even feel comfortable like pointing my camera in that direction. I thought it was weird.
yeah, very strange.
All right. Chapter 15, A Handful of Dust, May 29th, 6 a.m. It's kind of crazy when you look at the timelines because they start this assault at 1:30 a.m. and they're within the city gates at 6 a.m. I mean, the book makes it kind of seem like it's longer than it is, but like when you actually read the times, it was not that long. All right. With that, the defense had fallen. Paula and his brothers fought to escape, but Paulo. Sorry, man. I wrote it two different ways. Which one was it? Does anyone remember?
No,
Okay.
I don't remember.
I'm gonna go with
that.
Paulo.
No,
But
Go on,
Paulo was killed. His brothers made it back to Giustiniani. The Venetians weren't as lucky. They were encircled and captured. The city was chaotic, and the initial moments of invasion were brutal. After weeks of violence and taunting, the attackers were brutal. Sparing almost nobody that stood within the city streets.
Shout out. You made fun of me last week, bitch.
You did the same
I
thing.
did the same thing. I did the same thing in mine, but caught it before I read it.
What did I do? I don't even know.
The city was chaotic, and the
Brutal.
initial moments of invasion were brutal. After weeks of violence and taunting, the attackers were brutal.
Okay, my bad. I didn't even realize.
See, it gets you. It gets you
Yeah, it gets
sometimes.
you. Yeah, that's me. All right. Sparing almost nobody that stood within the city streets. As morning came, the initial zeal wore away, and the attackers shifted their focus. They now focused on killing off the able men and capturing the youth. Yet, barbaric acts of victory still occurred, including acts of rape, enforced slavery, and mass slaughter. Some other parts of the city used other methods to handle the invaders. In certain areas, they issued a mass surrender. As a result, they were given protection by the Sultan. In other parts, they continued to fight. The Italians fleeing to the ships got a stroke of luck. The navy fleet of the Ottomans was so eager to pillage that they largely ignored their sea escape. However, there was an overcrowding issue. Many died in the harbor on overcrowded ships, and some never made it. Those stuck at the sea gates were rounded up and sent away on Ottoman ships. Meanwhile, within the city, Janissaries raced towards St. Sophia. There, great treasures were said to be found. They raced to the city center, encountering valuable artifacts from across the globe, including Egypt and ancient Greece. Finally, they reached the barred door at St. Sophia. The church had stood for over 1,000 years, standing as the most important building of Byzantium. Now it was flooded with pillaging Ottomans. The men and women inside were largely separated and sold into slavery. From there, the valuables within the church were ransacked, leaving the church a shell of its former glory. For the time being, Mehmet waited outside the walls, waiting for news, which was largely good. The head of Orhan was presented to him, however, he still awaited the head of Constantine. Conflicting stories plagued the story of Constantine after his death. To the Ottoman scholars, the story was told that he had been beheaded and his head was presented to Mehmet, who then displayed it on a stake. The Greeks believed he died in battle amongst his fellow men, wearing commoner clothes. Nonetheless, his body was never recovered, and his true story was never determined. Despite the claims at his death, Ottoman scholars did pay him respect, writing, "The ruler of Istanbul was brave and asked for no quarter. It was well believed he fought to the emperor's last breath." With large parts of the pillaging clear, Mehmet made his grand entrance into the city, unfurling the green banners of Islam and the red banners that represented his rule. In legend, he turned to his 70 to 80,000 person force and cried out, "Halt not conquerors, God be praised, you are the conquerors of Constantinople." At 21, he had cemented his legacy, claiming his name, Faith the Conqueror. Despite the proud moment, he was greeted by a sad Constantinople. It lay in devastation, not just from the purging, which he stopped, but the hundreds of years of deterioration of the Byzantine Empire. He rode to St. Sophia, where he pardoned some Greeks and prayed within the church. With it, Christianity and the Byzantine Empire fell with Constantinople. I guess this is the final send-off to the Christian city before it's taken over. I left a picture there. They included it in the book, but it's not in color, so I put it in color. It's kind of a cool painting, but they mentioned that it was a famous painting. Any thoughts on the fall of Constantinople?
What would you have done to if you were one of the people inside?
You tried to get
They
in the
they
ship.
said people people were like jumping into wells. People were jumping into ships and sinking them somehow, like over too many people in them.
I'm trying to find those mines to see if they're still open, and going underneath the city, I think, would be my planned exit.
I think you try to get
I
to a
would-
sea ship, and then if you can't get on there, then you just
Hide.
hide.
If I'm a commoner, I'm just converting. I'd say Allah Akbar.
Fair. I mean, that's a good strategy. Just repent and just say, you know what, I've actually been a Muslim this whole time.
Were
I
they,
mean,
It's
even
easy to
Oh,
say nowadays because I mean I'm not severely religious. These people were obviously fervently religious, so I think a little bit different to convert back in the day, and you're probably shunned by your family if you do so. But from my 21st century perspective, if Chicago was taken over by
aliens?
aliens, sure. And thank you for that.
good save.
We're talking extraterrestrial beings, not illegal aliens.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on. Who else has thoughts?
I was gonna say people back then would rather die than convert their religion, which is obviously saying something. I think they kind of explains it later on, but like Mehmet was like after the initial siege, he was pretty welcoming to other companies as long as they kind of weren't allowed to hold weapons and whatnot. And obviously, there was some pushback from the Islamic side of things because many didn't agree with it. But I feel like if you survived the initial pillaging, then you had a decent chance to survive within the city as long as you weren't like by an extremist or trying to like attack the city. I feel like.
I think the author made a point to say that Constantinople, after the siege, became a multicultural city where everyone of all backgrounds was accepted.
What do you guys think happened to Constantine's body? Like, what was his final moments? Do you think he died as a commoner?
Fled to
I think he's
Argentina.
still I think he's still alive to this day.
He fled to Argentina. Okay. Little.
I
A little history.
Look at Kevin. Don't say this
Yeah,
guy's
why?
not well versed.
You don't want to play me in trivia today.
Oh
I'm firing.
gosh.
Wait, why is Argentina significant? I'm a little lost on that.
Yep.
Bring up some World War II knowledge that you must have figured out.
Hitler,
Oh, the
all the
Nazis?
Germans.
That's a Nazi split.
Oh, to Chile.
It was Argentina.
I've been
Chile.
to
It was South
been
America.
to Chili's.
Okay, nice. I like to believe Constantine died as a commoner. I think he did strip his stuff off and try to hide himself as like a regular person. I don't know if he died on the walls fighting or was like fleeing, but
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem he had was people obviously knew what he looked like. So like anyone that did come in contact with it was probably like, oh shit, like I know him, so like I'm gonna go kill him. So I don't think he lasted very long just because some like people knew what he looked like. So like you couldn't
Is
wanted his head.
the Gutenberg printing press was not created until 200 years after.
yeah,
the
most people
authors
did
knew
not
him.
probably know what he looked like. And plus he was like, I don't think a lot of people in Constantinople knew what he looked like.
that is insane to think about.
I feel like they had paintings or like currency.
Yeah,
They
but
had like little wanted posters.
if he takes off all of his noble gear and like dresses as a commoner, it'd be very difficult, like in battle, to identify him.
We got
Yeah.
a lot of pictures of what Mehmet looked like in this book. I don't think there was a single one that showed definitively what Constantine looked like.
And even if it did show it,
Just
it was probably what he looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting.
Shut-
I like to believe that he died along the walls and like they couldn't identify his body. That makes the most sense to me.
Also,
And they
ran-
just brought him a
Down with the ship, so respect.
random head.
Well, I think
This is Constantine.
yeah. Either that or like they just lied. They're like, "Oh, we got Constantine. Here's his head on a stake."
They took a Sharpie and wrote on a piece of tape Constantine and put it on his head. And they're like, oh, this is him.
yeah.
Also, random question. So I was trying to do like some research on just Mehmet. Why, when I look up Mehmet the Conqueror, like all the websites and stuff, he's called Mehmed with a D at the end?
I think
Is
that's
there any significance?
I realized that.
Maybe local pronunciation.
I
Maybe
think it's local spelling and local pronunciation is the difference.
there's different spellings in like Islam versus the Western world. I know that, but
Gotcha.
that could maybe.
I think
Shout out to the Bishop of Kiev. That man pulled off the sneaky escape.
Yeah, Kevin was talking about strategies. I think that would be the ultimate strategy. Didn't he put a Ottoman soldier's garb on? Is that what it was?
Yeah, or that, or like commoner's clothes. Took off his like, I don't know, whatever a priest wears, and then the robe or whatever, and humped on a ship. And then I think he like swam to the ship, and he like was able to get let on. I think it was.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different guy. I'm thinking
Maybe I'm thinking there's two guys that escaped. I think they talk about one guy like
there's some wild.
I know what you're talking about, and he got to the ship in like the nick of time, right when they were starting to head off. I'm thinking of I don't know if he was an archbishop or priest or what. His name was Isildur. But he put on Ottoman clothing and he all right, wait, maybe that's wrong. Isidore. I'm getting
I was like,
I
was just about to say, it sounds like the Lord of the Rings.
It is Lord of the Rings. It is a
yeah, I'm getting Lord of the Rings mixed up. Okay, we'll call him Isildur. He put on Ottoman soldier garments and tried to escape, but they caught him because I think he was like he was old for the time, 60 or 70 years old. They're like, how's this guy fighting? So then he eventually paid his way out after they caught him.
All right, we got one more chapter. We got some space to cover though. Chapter 16, the present terror of the world, 1453 to 1683. In the aftermath, Mehmet was given 1/5 of the prizes as ordered. For the 30,000 slaves, they were shipped across the Ottoman Empire, destined for markets. Most of the surviving nobles were killed, with a few being shipped back to the west. Mehmet would now focus on making the wrecked city of Constantinople into his capital, renaming it Istanbul. Meanwhile, in the west, they were stunned by the news the unconquerable city had been destroyed, and they feared what came next. The event would prove pivotal in shaping an anti-Islamic viewpoint in the West for hundreds of years. Meanwhile, the Muslim world swelled in pride. The news was given a multi-day celebration in Cairo. The event would prove pivotal in the spread of their religion, and they believed it to be an iconic moment in their religious history. Over the coming years, Mehmet would set his sights on Italy, hoping to fuel his ambition for Rome. Despite calls to unite Christendom, they all failed. The religion was too fractured, too secular. In July 1481, Mehmet landed an army of 120,000 in Italy. First, he captured Otranto. I don't know. Otranto.
Oh,
The Pope considered fleeing, and the Italians looked on in fear. However, the army was recalled after news came that Mehmet had passed. For the years following, the two religions would clash, deeply fearing the other. Deep acts of hatred filled both sides. The word Turk became synonymous with terror. In 1536, the Oxford Dictionary would define it as anyone behaving as a barbarian or savage. In 1603, Richard Knowles would label the Turks as the present terror upon the world. While the 200 years following the capture of the city would generate hatred in the West, not all the bases for their complaints were founded. Mehmet took a different approach to re-establishing Istanbul. He resettled Greek Christians and Turkish Muslims within the city. Furthermore, he guaranteed the safety of the Genoese. Genoese, man, I just blanked on that. In Gelada, while the citizens were treated equally, it was a remarkable stance at the time. At the same time, the Jews in Spain were forced from their home. They settled in the Ottoman Empire, which were with largely open arms. Despite Mehmet's attempts at making a multicultural city, future leaders would undermine his ambitions, claiming it was against the Prophet's wishes. Despite those attempts, Istanbul or Constantinople would serve as the wonder upon the world, serving as a timeless city that left visitors in awe. Frenchman Pierre Giles wrote that while other cities are mortal, this one will remain as long as there are men on earth. That is our send off to Constantinople. Any thoughts on?
I can read the epilogue really quick
Yeah.
if you want me to summarize the epilogue.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so on the epilogue. Yeah, Mehmet gets fat. Has his sights set on Asia. Never really gets there. He dies, probably because his son poisoned him, which then leads to a Game of Thrones like struggle for the crown. I think they said that even Mehmet's son, I forget his name, was actually killed by his son. So there's some not so liked individuals within the family. Basically, in present day Istanbul, it's hard to see the Christian relics within the city. It's kind of been washed away over the past 400 years. They talk a little bit about some of the other players, but there wasn't really anything too interesting to really bring up unless anybody else has anything. But that was kind of the main gist of the epilogue.
Yep.
Francis comes up. He ended his days in monasteries on Corfu. He wrote a short, painful chronicle of the events of his life. It starts, I am George Francis, the pitiful first lord of the imperial wardrobe, presently known by my monastic name, George. I wrote the following account of the offense that occurred during my wretched life. It would have been fine for me not to have been born or to have perished in my childhood.
Bro was depressed. It was so bad. Bro was going through it. I think I don't know, I guess, well, this is a comment before we get to final thoughts and scores, but I do like the one thing I like about this book, it did not overstay its welcome at all. It ended very promptly, which books that overstay their welcome have been a big point of contention in this book club, and I mean, the epilogue's only 4 pages. The last chapter is very quick, so I at least appreciated that. It was like it told you everything about all the characters and just ended.
I was worried after we had 4 chapters left and it felt like they were about to siege, like go with the siege.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, we're gonna have like 3 chapters of just like over 100 years again, how the book started. Because maybe we'll get to this, I guess.
There's
No,
nothing like when the author writes like 20 pages in the epilogue just of his thoughts. Here's what I think about it. You know, that's always the worst. Unless
Yeah.
the only reason that makes sense if it's like his like a memoir or something like that. That's different, but not.
I think if like you made something like about like the 80s, but then now you're writing in the 2000s, and if stuff's happened since then, I think then it's okay to write a little bit longer one if there's a lot of detail to the scope of the book that's now happened.
Yeah.
I do wish to that point that we would have gotten a piece about the present day of Istanbul. I can't say it.
Istanbul.
I wish we had gone through like the history from 83 leaves off to present day and where we stand now.
It sounds like you want to read a book on the history of Turkey.
Istanbul's in Turkey.
Nah, I'm good. I would be interested in reading about the fall of the Ottoman Empire during World War One. I would read that.
Yeah.
But I don't care about Turkey.
Or Hungary.
Unless you're talking the lunch meat.
Well, if you're going to read a World War One book, you have to sort of care about Austria-Hungary.
True.
Yeah.
I was just trying to take a ricochet shot at you.
I know. All right, let's dive into thoughts and scores. It's always a good point of the book. We'll see where the book lands on the overall list. Let me go to the pages.
Are you pulling up the list so that people can see?
Yeah, I got it. We'll just. All right. I guess I'll go first, and then we'll pass it around.
I'll take a turn.
Yeah, we'll take a stab at it. All right. So positives, I touched on it, does not overstay its welcome. This is a short book, and I think it's well served. It tells you the story without overbearing you with facts. I mean, even we complained about the first couple chapters, but in the grand scheme of things, it was only 60 pages or so, so it wasn't too bad of background information. So I thought pace wise, this book was really good. Content wise, obviously he's restricted due to everything he's gathering information from is from people's journals and from 1400s, and that stuff gets lost, it gets scattered, and a lot of it's propaganda. So this is another one of those books that requires a lot of research, and I think he does a good job at presenting both sides. As I said during the last meeting, I think when I was reading bad reviews for this book, they were talking about how I was biased. I never thought that way. Thought he gave both sides their shine. He definitely didn't just cast Mehmet as an evil conqueror. He paid him his dues, and he did the same for Constantine. So I thought it was fair on both sides. Um, it's I struggled giving a score to this book. Parts of it, I guess, were a little repetitive. There's some parts where it was like, okay, feels like we're going in circles, but I guess that's a siege to a certain extent. So maybe another one of those books that's limited by the contents of what actually happened. I don't know if he gave this its full praise or if this was less interesting and he was playing it up. It's kind of hard to tell at points what he's doing. You know what? I think this goes down as one of those books where I'm gonna put it right around some other books that I've read. I don't think it stands out as one of the better books we've read. I don't think it's one of the more boring books we've read. So, you know, I'm seeing my scores in here as 7-2.
What
I,
a
you were dancing around that score. You're like, well, and then
I was deciding.
just like more
I
times.
was deciding between like a 7 and a 7-3, and I just was like, I was going
You're
in
not
the
gonna
vein.
go. Not gonna go 7.25 again.
Sorry, man.
that was ridiculous.
No, I thought
All right.
I didn't like it as much as the Escape Artist. So no.
All right. I can hop in and go next. I'll give you the opposite end of the spectrum after Tyler's high in-depth analysis. I'll give you my low, not in-depth analysis. Um, personally, first few chapters, basically the first meeting, that whole reading was absolute shambles for my brain. Did not understand what was going on. A lot of history, but I also understand, like Tyler pointed out, that that's probably due to the fact that he was writing this as almost like a scholarly nonfiction. Like he wanted to have some credibility, so he probably mentioned all that stuff. But yeah, that first part of the book, did not enjoy it that much. After that, once we started learning about what actually probably did happen, or maybe didn't happen, but the actual story of the book, I actually enjoyed that a lot more than I was expecting. To Tyler's credit, you got to give the book a chance. Gave the book a chance, and I actually enjoyed it. The siege was really interesting. Like Tyler said, there's some points where we started doing circles of like praying, doing religious stuff, eating, fasting, all this different stuff, just waiting for the actual siege to happen. And then eventually it does happen, but again, we don't know if that's the author doing that or if there just wasn't a lot of content, like Tyler said. And then I thought the ending of the book, I was very glad that it was wrapped up quickly and we didn't go into uh we didn't bookend the book with more fact and random stuff for another like 60 to 80 pages. So I was glad he condensed that down into a chapter and an epilogue. Um, Going into this book, did not really, did not think I was gonna like this. No, nothing. I don't even think about the year 1400 ever. Like the furthest back my brain goes is probably like
You don't?
1860.
Really?
It's like you forget that the 1400s even existed because like yeah. But I actually did enjoy the story a lot. And it also is pretty impressive if you go to like the end of the book when you look at all the sources and the bibliography from the author. There's like so many pages worth of notes and diaries and writings that he congregated together to write this. So that also is pretty impressive. It's able to learn a lot. I don't know if I'll ever use this knowledge anywhere, but learn some stuff. Um, I will give this book. It's definitely better than The Great Game. God, I need to adjust that score. This is tough. My ratings all just need to be adjusted. I look back at this and I just hate it
That's what the next that's the Pages is for. You can list your adjustments.
because I think this was better than The Lost City of the Monkey God, honestly. Why did I rate The Last Rhino 6.6? I thought it was better than
Dude, I am looking at my score from the last Rhinos. I don't know why I decided to change up.
4.8.
Came out of the blue with the 4.
You guys,
Now,
you guys just need
now
to
I'm
make
back
your
into the
scales.
corner.
You guys gotta keep your scale. Whatever scale you choose, you just gotta make it consistent. That's all.
I'm gonna give this a 6.7.
Vibes.
But I
can
think
go
the
back.
last Rhino I think the last Rhino was better than this, which I have rated lower, but I think this is better than The Lost City of the Monkey God. So which I have rated
We'll
the
be
same.
will be adjusted later on. So
What I'm trying to say is it's fucked. But I thought this was a decent book for what I thought it was gonna be. The end.
I guess I'll go.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna monkey off what Kevin and Tyler have been saying. Start off with the
Yup.
pros. Thought it was really well researched. I think Crowley does a great job, kind of like Kevin said, finding a bunch of sources in a long time ago and kind of coming up with a storyline. It's probably, I can't imagine how difficult that would be. So props to him and kind of creating a story. I think it was well researched. I thought the siege itself was really interesting. I didn't know a lot about it. I knew about Istanbul and I knew that it fell, did not know the story behind it. So glad I got to learn something new. Yeah, I thought like the siege itself and the climax were easily the best parts of this book. I think those are my highlights when I would tell someone about it. I also think that it does a good job of not overstaying its welcome, like the other two alluded to. I think it's good. It's a good thing that it's kind of short and sweet because it can get, for my stupid brain, it was hard to understand the first two parts, especially the first two chapters. And I like to think that I'm somewhat well versed in history, and it was kind of was like, what am I reading? I guess that'll lead into the cons. It was kind of hard to connect with the character, I thought personally, just because I don't fault this to the Crowley, just because. So I didn't really like care as much about like I wasn't as super invested in like what happened to Mehmet or Constantine. They were just kind of mentioned, and it was kind of hard. Like we're maybe like Red Notice. They're totally different books where you don't have like you're really like invested in a character throughout the whole book. I wasn't like super invested in either of the characters. I was interested to see what happened, but wasn't like keeping me page turning. And I think that's what maybe not that I was like holding off on reading this book when we were going through it, but I just was never like, oh, I need to read like the next chapter of 1453. Like it wasn't like pulling me to read every night. But I do think it serves a good purpose. And if you like history, you're going to enjoy this book, especially world history. There's a lot to learn. So that in mind, I think if I knew a little bit more about the time period and like the history behind it, I would probably been more interested in it. But yeah, I ended up with a 6.7, similar to Kevin. Thought I enjoyed the last round a little bit more just because I was more interested in the topic. But I do think this is, if you like history, it's a good short and sweet story that I think you'd enjoy.
Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and piggyback off of what most people said. I really don't think the book overstayed its welcome. I thought it was. I also agree. It was well paced, both in the front end and the back end. Think I was about to fall asleep, and then he cut to Mehmet being born and the start of his rise to power, and then towards the end, we really didn't get all that much about the after effects and the epilogue. So really good by Crowley there. I think knowing exactly what his readers need. Another pro, learned a lot of new things. I had no idea about Constantinople and what happened there and the fact that it's current day Istanbul. Learned a lot about siege warfare, learned about Mehmet, learned about Constantine, learned about the culture of the times. I didn't know that everyone was so religiously fanatic back then. Learned about Christian secularity. Got some background into my own religion and some of the divisions and contrasts between different denominations of the Christian church, which I thought was cool. And even some background into current day events such as Christian and Muslim conflicts and maybe where that arose from. So definitely full of things that I didn't know previously. It's always good to learn, even maybe when you come into a book like this and it's not going to spark your interest that much. There's always a few takeaways from it, a few positives. Another pro, with this review, with the ultimate score, I don't want to shit on Crowley. I think you all make a good point. It is so tremendously difficult to comb through the medieval manuscripts and the multiple libraries that they reside in, like he did, and to be able to present it into a cohesive story is very impressive. So shout out to Crowley. Cons, this is like reading a book in black and white. It's like a black and white movie. You just know automatically that you're not going to enjoy it as much. I think, Jared, you make a really good point. Personally, you're not going to enjoy it as much. Jared, you make a really good point in that you can't connect well with the characters. I feel like the colors are grayed a little bit, just because everything is so disconnected from our present time, and you get a lot of probablys in the sources that are presented, and you aren't presented with a lot of relatable characteristics. People back then were much different than they are now, I think. So the pace of the warfare was a little bit slow. I don't know, 21st century, I expect everything to be at my fingertips and be fast paced. Just the constant back and forth was a little bit draining at times. That's all I have. I dug myself into a pit here.
I think you gotta reverse your scale. I think you need to reevaluate. I don't know if we need to be on a common scale or
this book is worse than The Last Rhinos, in my opinion. I have The Last Rhino score
at the threes.
It's not the Last Rhinos is not the worst book we've read. I think maybe that goes to the Lost City of the Monkey God.
Look at Christian scale.
It's all over.
Christian's gonna need to revamp it before.
Great, Christian. What I would recommend, why don't you just rescore The Last Rhino?
And yeah, that's probably your easiest. But
okay, so Last Rhinos goes to 6-0.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
and then this is a 5-9.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that was good. Good idea. Okay,
Working.
yeah, 5-9. My first book below 6, re-edited, reimagined scale.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think it's fair. I think our lowest rated is a 6.5 right now, and I think if you look at our scale that we're adhering to on the 20 pages thing, that is above average on the scale. So I think everything makes sense. I don't think we've read a bad book so far, to be honest. I think every book has had its positives, and I think we benefit of the doubt. We always pick books that are usually above a 4 on Goodreads, so the likelihood that we actually pick a bad book is very low.
Until this wheel.
Okay.
I think we need to reevaluate our score system. I think 6s or 7s are like good books, good parts of books that are just not the full thing. Whereas maybe we have to readjust how our scale is looking at the end of the year, just because we say good book, we just use different adjectives for the way we describe books, and it's amazing book.
I think our scale needs to be consistent among us, though, because our total score is so because like our total score gets thrown off if we have different scales, So maybe we just need to go through together.
Well,
And
they
be
all
like,
average out.
Well, I think just looking at the books that are a 6 average or in the 6s, they're good. We think they're good books at parts, but they're not fully good books throughout the whole thing, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe I didn't explain that right, but throughout the entirety of the book, it's not an interesting story to all of us, but there's parts with that make it interesting. That's probably another bad explanation. I'm just trying to find ways to.
I mean, also, I
No,
didn't
I
really
get what
read a
you're.
book
I get what you're
before
saying.
the endurance. I hadn't read a book in fucking forever, so I was just tossing out numbers. And now that I've congregated a small list of books, now I'm starting to think to myself, why the fuck did I rate that?
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, I guess this will lead into our discussion on the Pagies. So if you're new here, the Pagies are our award show. This will be the first running of the Pagies. And I guess I quickly run down of what to expect next episode, because it won't be a normal episode. It will just consist of the Pagies, hopefully to be in person, but that's to be determined with the holiday. But so what you can expect, a little. So we have an award. We have eight awards, 9 awards that we have tabulated. There might be some that are added between now and the Pagies, but I will quickly run through them along with who we have nominated. Again, there still could be some last minute nominations. So I will quickly read through the awards and the nominations now. The Pour One Out Award. This is for a character that had died in the reading of the novel. And the nominations are Bruce Heinecke, The Lost City of the Monkey God; Michael Sinclair, Prisoners of the Castle; Sergei Maganetsky, Red Notice; and Frankie Campbell, Cinderella Man. It's a heavy list. Then we have Motor Moron of the Year. I think the name speaks for itself. We have Stone.
This has to be the last award of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah, this probably is our most. This is our most.
Prestigious award.
Yeah, Motor Moron of the Year. We have Elphin Stone, The Great Game; Lieutenant Mac with Old Reed; Orderlies, Endurance; and The Italian Guy at the Gate, 1453. Meme of the Year. We don't have the final nominations yet, but what we'll do is we'll go back through our memes
We'll look
of
through
the
the
year,
winners.
see which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look through the winners, and the people will vote for the top 3, and we'll pick off that.
We do a worst meme of the year as well.
I like that.
Yeah, we'll do worst meme of the year as well. That's a good point. Worst meme of the year will be tabulated. And then we have Book of the Year. Basically, we'll go to our highest rated book. So we won't spoil it, but if you listen to us throughout, you probably already know who wins. We have then Unsung MVP, maybe not a main character, but had a pivotal role in the story. So our nominations are Rudolph Densler, Prisoners of the Castle; James Bigheart and John Palmer, Killers of the Flower Moon; and Gustine Tiani, the G, 1453. Then we have Most Depressing Life. Still fielding nominations on that.
1453.
Christian, do you want to see the guy? Do you want to say the guy who's up for nomination from 1453?
I think it's George Francis.
Yes, George Francis. Yes, and we will find some other nominations, but that will also be a category. We have Best Supporting Character, also fielding nominations for that. Maybe Molly Burkhart. If she's not the main character, we'll see. I don't have to decide on that. Am I frozen?
Yes, you're frozen.
We hear you though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh. We'll let him reconvene here.
Let him cook.
Let him cook a little bit.
Freeze out.
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So, Best Supporting Character to be determined, but we'll list the nominations for that. We have Worst Chapter. I think this is an underrated category that we have. Some nominations. Probably will add some. Our Most Ancient Companion, Rocket Man. That's the chapter on the moon. That was 2 pages. And then Captain Burnaby's Ride to Kiva, The Great King.
I'm gonna have to go back and read these.
Yeah.
I refuse.
we'll decide who gets to split out and write the winners for each of these. Then we have best picture section, Rocket Man, and Velocity and Monkey God. We can go back and add some, but
Honestly, 1453 could be
yeah,
a nomination for best picture section.
1453 is also on there. I'll include that. So that's a 3-man race.
Endurance.
Also going into that rating for me personally is how the author spaces the pictures in the book.
That's fair.
1453 did a very good job. No sentence breaks and kind of throughout the book.
It's a good analysis.
Then we have the first person award. I'm sure we can find some people. I mean, we talked about Nazi Germany and we talked about various other evil people. So I'm sure LRA. I'm pretty sure we can fill that award out. So there's no nominations yet.
Well, they got Hitler and Joseph Kony.
They might all just win. Why choose who's the worst? So,
who's the best or the worst?
Yeah. Then we have competition champion. This will be tabulated around the competitions around the year. I think Kevin might have run away with this from the influx of Pictionary and Scribblio entrance. Then we have worst book of the year. This will obviously be our lowest rated book across. This will be after people make their changes though. So we'll see after people make their adjustments. We'll figure out which one was our least favorite book of the year. And then we have most underrated book. Maybe we can look at back throughout our time after we change our scores or adjust our scores, which book may have been a little bit underrated. And we can go back and we'll figure that out as a group. But yeah, these are our categories. What we'll probably do is we'll probably release something on our socials. So if anybody actually is listening and is inclined to vote, they will have a chance to vote for their pick at the winner. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet, but maybe we'll figure out a way for people to vote. But yeah, besides the awards, the Pagies will include a section, a piece where people get to go back and explain some of their adjustments and scores that they made. It'll be pretty short, but can maybe explain why you moved a book up or down at the end of the year. But yeah, that kind of explains the Pagies. Looking forward to it. There'll be an annual award show, hopefully, if we continue past year one.
What a great
year. It'll be a good recap. Maybe we'll have a year in review. Maybe someone or ChatGPT can make a year in review of all the books we've read from Endurance all the way through to 1453.
13 books this year.
We read, I was about to say that, the most book I've read in a single year ever.
I like sentence like that.
We read 4,500 pages. So pretty impressive, guys.
Not to get sentimental, but it's almost been a year since the text that Jared sent that said, "Hey, fuckers, who wants to read a book with me?" Look where we are now.
Our average score is a 7.4.
We're educated men now.
Yeah, we'll maybe do like a Spotify Wrapped for the book club. Maybe.
Oh.
Maybe we can task
like
one of the members to create something like that. Maybe Kevin's good at that stuff for the Pagies, and we'll present it on a slideshow. But yeah, it'll be an in-person event. If we have any fans that want to show up, maybe we'll have a live audience.
It's pay to enter though. Tickets are $20.
And we gotta turn it.
Our apartment.
I'm on the couch.
I think there may be one guest, maybe two.
It's your roommate because he lives there.
Actually, don't count out girlfriends.
Maybe 3. That's what I'm saying. It may just be 3 girlfriends and cousins.
And Brandon, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck? These nerds doing?"
She made nothing.
Idiots talking about the fucking last round to Kiba.
Next, no, we should do next year. We should have
wear suits.
Whoever comes in last for the points for the competition, up the stakes a little bit.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
That or for picking the worst book of the year.
Oh, you should want the worst book.
No, the worst book is funny.
Doing that incentivizes people to
score
downwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not.
But I think we should include some sort of punishment for the lowest at the end of the year, like starting new slate starting next year we'll restart the competitions and see whoever comes in last will have won't be a serious punishment. but
We're never playing
state.
Scriblio again.
We'll have to just throw it in there. We have to weight down Scriblio.
Trivia's going back in the.
Yeah, we'll have to rotate trivia back in a little bit more. But yeah, we'll have some good ideas.
Oh.
Obviously, if you have any ideas to how to improve the listening experience for the book club, we'll obviously listen to that. But yeah, that'll be the Pagies. Not sure when it's going to happen, but it will be before our next book. So you can expect that in between 1453 and whatever's coming next. I don't know. I guess that leads to the wheel then.
All right. When we come back, we will have the wheel to decide the first book of 2024. All right, welcome back, everyone. It is the most exciting part of the third meeting always, which is bringing in the new book. And this next book is going to be started in 2024. It's going to be our first book in January. Date undecided for the first meeting. But we're excited. We got 10 books on here. If you haven't been following along, we have been spinning the wheel to decide. Jared's book has been selected. Then my book was selected. So we have left Christian and Kevin for the rotation of the wheel. So they both submitted 5 books. So we have 10 books in total. We will spin the wheel. And the last standing book will be the book we are reading, as long as there's not a lack of reviews or it's way too long. But I think every book is fine on here. They both put
And then
Copper
whoever
in
doesn't
the
win,
list, so there's 2 of those options.
whoever doesn't win gets to basically pick the next book. So
Gets to pick the wheel. The wheel still has to decide, though.
yeah, but I'm saying you can basically choose to the outcome of what type of genre or what
Yes.
we want to read next.
All right.
You have control.
I'm going to read off the books quickly. We will read a tagline once we get to the final 3, once it actually starts getting interesting. But the 10 books on the list, well, it's actually 9 because they both submitted the same book. So Demon Copperhead is one of the books. The Road, The Stand, 1,000 Splendid Suns, Cobalt Red, Imagine Me Gone, In the Shadow of Lightning, Fablehaven, and The Wager. Did we mention David
Repeats that have been on the list before.
David Gran is a author we've read. He actually has our highest rated book. So it'd be interesting if he got selected again. He's also the Barnes & Noble author of the year. So congrats to him. And also
I will be blurting that out and post edit. We don't shout out other book.
he's probably our author of the year. So congrats to him. I just declared that.
I'd like to preface the wheel with the fact that me and Kevin really tried to strongly choose all fiction, and we both included one nonfiction book. So I think it would be quite comical if somehow we landed on nonfiction.
I think the 2
Why
nonfiction
did we
books,
leave it up to chance?
the 2 nonfiction books on there are well liked by the group as overall choices.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be all right.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. First spin of the wheel.
Wait, are you
Sharing this, are you?
No.
This is a catastrophe.
All right.
You always like to throw a wrench.
The first book eliminated is Demon Copperhead.
What? Oh, there's one more.
Well,
There's still one more in
I
there,
believe you.
but Demon Copperhead is the first eliminated. All right.
If it goes back to back.
The next book eliminated is.
Also, Demon Copperhead.
It's very close. It's going to be In the Shadow of Lightning, the book I just bought. So I'm gonna have to purchase another book, but it's all right. I'll read that on the side anyways. All right, we're down to 8 entries. The next spin of the wheel.
Someone make a meme of Tyler and then his side book.
Anyone
Side
have a guess what was just eliminated?
Demon Copperhead.
No, 1,000 Splendid Suns is gone from the list.
Okay.
Why'd you give us a guess?
Hail Mary.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there. All right, 7. Spinning the wheel again, and the next book eliminated
Both fiction books are still available.
is going to be The Stand. The Stand is eliminated.
When I first read Christian's list, I thought his was just gonna be like the road, the stand, the table, the coffee cup,
The Road, the Witch, the Wardrobe.
the cookie, the
All
mouse.
right, next spin of the wheel. We are down to 6 entries. The next book eliminated. It is a nonfiction book off the board. It is the wager off the board. David Grand will not be reread. He has been eliminated from the wheel. Unfortunately.
Maybe in 2024.
Maybe in
David.
20. I have a feeling that book is going to be read at some point.
I honestly put it on there because my roommate just bought it, and I didn't want to
Okay.
have to buy a book.
Okay, well, respect.
If Demon Copper wins, how do we determine if it's me or Kevin? This doesn't have to be answered now, but a little bit of parity
There's no
in
chance.
the wheel.
No, there's no chance that happens.
I think
Yeah.
I think I can solve that problem, but we'll see when we get there.
Well, that just scares me because
First roll rock paper scissors.
No, I think I could determine which one was which.
Gotcha.
But you're the one that put it in.
I know, but by the way I input the list, I think I could tell which one was Kevin's and which one was Christian's.
I see.
God, you're good.
All right, we're down to 5. The wheel is being spun. Well, we don't have to worry about it. Demon Copperhead has been eliminated. Oh man, Demon Copperhead has been eliminated.
Demon Copperhead's like 0 for 5 on the wheel.
I know.
It's been on there a lot.
All right, I will. There you
More
go.
books left?
You guys can see it's going to mess up the presentation of our videos a little bit, but it's worth it. All right, we got 4 books left. You can tune in on the Discord now. All right, give me a second.
You malfunctioning?
Yeah, bad. All right, malfunction. Okay, we're down to 4. Here we go. After this one, we'll read what the books are actually about. All right, Imagine Me Gone was recommended by Kevin's Barber, so if that wins,
Oh, and it's going to be a fiction book.
it's gonna be
fiction.
fiction. We are returning to the fiction genre. Cobalt Red has been eliminated. We may, knowing our luck, we're gonna end up with the book that Kevin's Barber recommended.
Should I read that? Should I give a little recap of what that is now?
Yes, we're down to the final 3. So, Imagine Me Gone.
Christian.
So I actually didn't even look at what this book was about. I just asked him. He gave me Demon Copperhead and Imagine Me Gone. And so I just threw him in there. So this is kind of my first time learning what Imagine Me Gone is about. And it basically sounds like this girl marries a depressed guy, and then there's an unforgettable story. Something about their son and their kids, but it's told from an alternating point of view. So there's 5 family members, and you get each person's point of view. I don't really know what the story's about, but yeah.
Okay, wow, sounds interesting. What about how about The Road, Christian? What's The Road about?
I'm going to sound less sarcastic about that.
Okay, The Road. It's a Cormac McCarthy book. Same author who brought us No Country for Old Men and Blood Meridian. It's a post-apocalyptic novel that details the grueling journey of a father and his young son over a period of several months across a landscape blasted by an unspecified cataclysm that destroyed industrial civilization and almost all life. Won the 2007 Pulitzer Prize for fiction.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, and it was adapted into a film of the same name in 2009, directed by John Hillcoat.
All right.
Not heard of the movie, but interesting story.
Me neither. All right. Kevin and the Fableman. Fablehaven? What is that about?
I might be on the hot seat. This might be like a middle school book. It's about kids that go to maybe their grandparents' cabin or something. There's like a magical.
Do we want to check before it wins, or do you want to?
Oh, it's one of the genres is middle grade, and then it says children's after it, but there's no chance it wins.
All right. Okay.
So The Road, the movie, has a 7.2 on IMDb and a 74%
Not that
on Tomatoes.
It's watchable.
Potential for dual book movie review.
I think there's a clear favorite here, but let's spin the wheel because the wheel's just.
You know what's going to happen, though.
Yeah.
I know.
To redo this whole thing because
Which is the children's book?
Fablehaven.
Fableman.
It's not a children's book.
We've been saved. We've been saved. Okay.
The wheel is just.
It's 351 pages. It's just like a middle schooler could read it.
All right. We are between Kevin's Barber's pick and Christian's pick.
So
So-
if my book, if my book wins, is it technically my barber winning, and I get to still enter books for the
No.
next time?
Because you ended up submitting it. So
Okay.
all right.
Hey, we might have an extra listener if the Imagine Me Gone wins.
Yeah.
Kevin's barber might be able to listen.
Maybe I'll hop on the pod.
All right. Here we go. Oh, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. We are reading The Road. The Road is our
Oh my god,
That was close.
We are
that's
reading
crazy.
The Road. It sounded pretty good, so I'm excited. We get to watch a movie, so that's always exciting. We got a couple weeks off here, but I'm excited.
I want to see what it has on Goodreads.
You want to pull up the
3.99 average.
Any book that has a
Cover's crazy.
wins a Pulitzer Prize, I'm gonna guess is pretty good.
Science
3.99,
fiction,
might be the
dystopia,
first-
post-apocalyptic,
first,
horror.
3 Goodreads book we've read.
Cover's sick.
Got it pulled up for the audience. Let me read it for everyone at home. It's 241 pages, so a quick read. But The Road, a searing post-apocalyptic novel destined to become Cormac McCarthy's masterpiece. A father and his son walk alone through burned America. Nothing moves in the ravaged landscape save the ash on the wind. It is cold enough to crack stones, and when the snow falls, it is gray. The sky is dark. The destination is the coast, although they don't know what, if anything, awaits them there. They have nothing, just a pistol to defend themselves against the lawless bands that stalk the road, the clothes they are wearing, a cart of scavenged food, and each other. The Road is the profoundly moving story of a journey. It boldly imagines a future in which no hope remains, but in which a father and his son, each the other's world entire, are sustained by love. Awesome in the totality of its vision, it is an unflinching meditation of the worst and best that we are capable of, ultimate destructiveness, desperate tenacity, and the tenderness that keeps two people alive in the face of total devastation. A lot of big words in there.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That's crazy. All right. I'm excited. I think a good switch up. It's always good. We've read a couple nonfiction books again in a row, so probably a worthy switch up, and we'll be back in January, and I'm excited. Any other thoughts?
I just scrolled down.
I'm
The first
excited
review I saw,
for-
1 star.
I'm excited for our first fiction book and then there were none. We don't have a lot of good fiction representation thus far.
That is true.
Sure.
We'll have to figure out a way to fix that come 2024. We'll have to
Let me and Christian handle.
devise ways. Well, there's a good chance we start off with 2 in a row. Because Kevin's next on the wheel. So
Yeah.
Kevin wants to keep it up with fiction. He just might.
Kevin has sole control of the wheel. It's just a little scary.
We've decided we've learned enough as a group. No more learning needed.
2023 was for learning. 2024 is for fun.
We do need to learn about romance.
Learn about the bedroom.
What?
Yeah. Do a little romance reading.
I'm good in there. I don't know. You guys.
All right.
Okay.
So our 14th book and the first book of 2024 will be The Road by Cormac McCarthy, as picked by the wheel. The wheel is just.
Always
Looking forward to reading that. Don't know what Tyler's doing, but yeah. Thank you guys for a great 2023, and we'll catch you guys in our next episode. The live recorded Pagies. It won't be live for you guys watching, but unless you want to come to the live viewing, we'll maybe have some details on that.
It'll probably be.
We might rent out the Soldier. We might rent out Soldier Field. I don't know. We'll see if the budget includes. But
details to follow.
Could you imagine 2027? The Pages at like the Chicago theater. That is.
All right, we need to go. All right, everyone. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Peace.
See you next week.